everybody, Matt Bell with the Electric Violin Shop. Lately we've been doing some sort of price tier comparisons. We did a $500 to $1,000 price tier. We've done a $1,000 to $1,500. We've done a $1,500 to $2,000. So this is sort of the next logical step. We're going to call it low to mid $2,000 range. Okay, so this is going to be like sort of $2,000 to $2,700. And we're going to be looking at some different instruments in here. The first one is sort of this low to mid $2,000 price tier. This will make some people in Europe very excited. We've got a lot of people in Europe. A lot of Eastern Europeans love some ZETA violins. We get questions every time we do a live segment. Yes, we have some ZETA violins. We have actually one ZETA violin we're going to talk about in this segment. The ZETA Strados Modern. Really cool violin. I'm going to grab it. These are available, and this is sort of a really classic design. I guess everybody is familiar with this. They've seen it. This is a 5-string. Really cool violins. They've got this sort of cutout in the back. Very signature thing for the Strados. They're available in 4-string or 5. We've got white in stock right now. I think the white and black are sort of your standard colors on that. There are custom colors and tops available if you want to do like a quilted maple thing. That sort of thing is available. It's a special order. It takes a little time to get those made, and of course costs a little bit of money. But you know, it's just money, right? You got to have a violin that you love. It does come with a custom case, a ZETA case. These are active violins. It's got a 9-volt battery in here. And it is a MIDI violin. There are cables available to connect these to the GR55, the latest and greatest guitar synthesizer. And you can adjust your individual string levels back here once you take the back off this thing, and that's sort of how that's done. So here's the ZETA Strados Modern. Make sure I'm plugged in. Yep. And I'm going to just play a little bit so you can hear what the instrument sounds like. Alright, so that's the ZETA Strados Modern. It's got the sort of the real signature, I guess you can see the bridge there, right, with the 5 fingers. That's sort of for the MIDI thing, so that you get a nice separation. You don't get a lot of crosstalk between those strings. We have talked a lot about MIDI on some other videos, so if you got questions about that, that's sort of where you need to go. Alright, so that's the ZETA Strados Modern. These are Stratton Skulls. I guess I'll talk about these before I play. They are made in Bulgaria by an American guy living over there, Jeff Stratton. Super cool. I mean, look at the detail on the teeth and everything. These are carved out of a piece of wood, and they're just really pretty awesome. On the back, you do have a bunch of cutouts to sort of keep the weight down, so you don't have to be a bodybuilder to play this thing. These are also available in 4-string or 5-string. They come in fretted or fretless. We'll show you a fretless one. And he's got a couple different models. This is sort of considered the standard. This would be like a standard shape. And then he's got what he calls a semi-custom, and then there's a custom. Semi-custom is one that's just sort of, you know, it's a little more detailed than this. And I'll show you semi-custom in a minute. And then custom, if you want a custom Stratton Skull violin, say you want yours a little different. I've even seen him do like with 2 face facing this way and a face facing this way. I've seen him upside down. He does all kinds of crazy stuff with them. Because he makes these things himself, he can do whatever he wants, do whatever you want. And that's something that we can coordinate with him and get all that stuff worked out if you want. These have a Barbera bridge on them, so sort of the gold standard on you know what people want to use for a pickup. These also come with a case. It's a case that we supply, so it's not like a custom like Stratton Skull case or anything. But you know, it's a violin case. It's something that you don't have to tote the thing around your backpack. Yeah, so it's definitely got that that signature Barbera sound. Really powerful. So that's that. We have talked about frets in a different video. These are more like your sort of typical guitar or mandolin frets. You can see they're fairly high there. It actually does fret the note out. You play behind the fret. I don't know if you can see here. So, I mean, you can get a little bit of sort of wiggle room there on the tone, but it's definitely going to pull you pretty much right into intonation. The biggest question we get, can you slide over these frets? Yes. If you release the pressure on your left hand, you slide right over them. Or, if you don't want to, you want to get that fret sound. So you can sort of have the best of both worlds there. It is a little different, it's a little weird. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but like anything else, you know, you spend a little bit of time with these things and it sort of starts to feel like home. So we really like these Stratton Skulls. Super cool instruments, awesome sound with the Barbera, super well made, and I don't know, there's really nothing much more metal than a skull violin. I will show you this is the 5. This is a semi-custom. This one a little bit different. You can sort of see it's got a little more like some detail in here. It's got a little more detail in the front. It's called a dark ginger. So this has got, it does sort of have a little bit of a reddish tint to it. Again, there's the back of that. Just it's a really sick looking violin. These things are awesome. I like them. This is a 5-string fretless, of course. And this is sort of that semi-custom look. Has got a little more detail to it. Anyway, that's the Stratton Skull. The next violin we're going to talk about in the sort of low to mid 2000s range is the NS Design CR. You guys have seen a lot of this violin. This is actually a custom color paint job. You guys have been buying a lot of CRs, which is awesome. So we're sort of getting down on our inventory. We do have a few coming in, so don't fret about that. Don't fret. You see what I did there? That's cool. So these are actually, believe it or not, NS does make fretted instruments too, just like Stratton. This is sort of the top of the line NS design. They've got the custom shoulder rest thing here that you can rotate in all dimensions. This thing grows. It can get, you know, you can slide this out and make it a little taller. You make it shorter. This rotates and pivots, and this piece actually bends. This is like a malleable aluminum. This bends. You sort of form it to your shoulder however you want. Super, super comfortable instruments to play. Ned Steinberger's a genius, man. He's just got so many great ideas about how to make good sound come out of an electric violin. We got the 41 tuners back here, so you sort of feed the ball in through the head. You got the 41 tuner down here. You don't need like a peg and fine tuner little game that you're playing there. It's just one tuner here. Really makes them sound great. These do have a headphone jack in the back and a 1/4 inch output. It's active violin powered by a 9-volt battery. So the switches you see here, we got volume, we got treble and bass boost, and then there's a 3-position switch here. You push it all the way forward, and we've sort of talked about this in some of the other NS Design stuff, but we'll talk a little bit about it here. When you pluck a string, when you pluck it, it starts in one direction, but then it sort of moves in that omnidirectional pattern, right? Sort of vibrates in a circle. When you look at it, you can see it vibrate in a circle. So that's an omnidirectional thing. When you bow an instrument, that string is more or less vibrating. When you watch the bow and you see the strings, it's really vibrating more like an oval, right? So what's happening is the bridge is rocking back and forth as that string is pushing back and forth, and that's why your acoustic violin bridge has those cutouts in there, so the bridge can actually flex and transmit those vibrations into the body. We've got a pickup element that sits underneath the bridge in this violin, so you do get some of the resonance from the body, and you get all that sound transmission there. But when you're pushing that thing side to side, you're pushing down on one side while it's lifting up on the other at the same time. if you don't want to have destructive interference, you've got to flip the polarity on one of those sides, and that's more or less what this switch does. It sort of sets you up. So, we got pizzicato. Okay, and then we can put it in arco mode where we're doing sort of a side-to-side thing. Okay, really nice, super clear, beautiful sound on this thing. And then you flip it all the way back, that puts you in arco mode, but it's got a high pass filter in there. And what a high pass filter does is it allows the high frequencies to pass. So it's otherwise known as a low cut filter. There's really nothing, your violin doesn't produce any usable frequencies below, I don't know, with a 4-string, you're 180 hertz maybe, 5-string maybe a little less, 140, 150. Anything below that's just going to be noise. And honestly, if you're playing in a rock band, your sound engineer is probably going to run a high pass up on you, maybe as high as 180, 200 hertz. Because you got chunky guitars down there, you got bass guitars, you got kick drums, you got big floor toms and stuff. I'm a sound engineer. I'm trying to get all this other stuff out of the way. I'm high passing the vocals, I'm high passing violins, I'm high passing a lot of stuff to get it out of the way where the thunder's at in that system. So you may or may not have access to a sound engineer. You may just sort of be doing stuff yourself. This thing has a high pass filter on board, which allows you to bypass all that. Also, you may have noticed on your electric violins, sometimes when you're changing bow direction, you get a little bit of thump, right? You hear that. You can sort of hear that thump in the bottom end. This destroys all that. It's gone. Okay, so that's where your 3-position switch is. You've got pits, arco, and then arco with a high pass. That's a pretty smart guy. He's thought of a lot of cool stuff here. Really, really neat violin. These come with a case because they're sort of a strange shaped instrument. You can't just put in a regular violin case. Comes in a custom NS design case. Here's the bridge violin. So the difference, we've talked about bridges in the past. It's a hollow body. You can hear that. The bodies are made out of carbon fiber and Kevlar. There are a ton of different colors. This is a silver one, which is really hot, by the way. I really like this. They've got marble colors, so there's like a red marble. Here's a red marble color that you can see. Also really sweet. They do fades. So this one is like a sort of a blue to green fade. Also really sweet looking violin. And because there's so many curves and stuff in this violin, you really get a lot of cool like light reflecting stuff. So they actually even do a color shift paint where if you change the angle, so you move it, it sort of looks like it's going from like green to purple or something. The color shift things are really, really awesome. So the regular bridge violins are not finished in the UK. The Dragon violins are finished in the UK. These are active violins. You can see the button batteries here in the back. There's 2 of them in the bridge Dragons. The regular bridge violins only have 1, but in the Dragons there's 2. It's an upgraded preamp. Inside this jack, there's a little switch. And when you stick your jack in there, it powers on the batteries and it powers the preamp. And then when you pull your cable out, it shuts it off. That's to save your battery life, right? So if you do have one of these, you should unplug it when you're done playing so that your battery doesn't die. A really cool feature. They do have the perfection pegs in them. So these are not your standard pegs, but the perfection pegs, we've talked about that. If you got questions, you can see another video on that. But there's a 3-to-1 planetary gear inside here. You're not trying to jam a wooden peg into a peg box. If you want to tune this, it's not a big pain at all. Okay. If you need super, super quiet practice, maybe this isn't the perfect violin for you. Because it does have a resonant body, they are a little bit louder. They're nowhere near as loud as an acoustic violin, but if you need like way close to dead silent, maybe not the perfect violin for you. But if you really like the acoustic feel of an acoustic violin, you sort of like how it feels and sounds under your ear, you like the way the neck feels and where the bouts and stuff are, this may be a good violin. They sound really, really nice under your ear, because you actually do get a little bit of that resonance here, but because there's no F-holes, it can't feed back. So you have all the feedback destroying capabilities of a solid body violin, but you do have a little bit of resonance under your chin, and that resonance does translate to the speaker, so you really can hear a little bit of a difference. So here's the Bridge Dragon. This is the Lyra. It's a 5-string. Anyway, I don't know what I was playing. I'm just making this stuff up as I go. So again, this is the 5-string version. There is a 4 also. This is actually a 4-string Dragon, and you can tell the difference when you look at one. The bridges, the regular bridges, I don't know if you can see, they've got a B right here for bridge, and then the Dragons have a dragon for a dragon. So. And then the other way you can tell because they got the perfection pegs in them. They've got the 2 batteries in the back instead of the 1. So if you pick one up, the label's off or whatever, you don't know. That's how you can tell the difference between a regular and a Dragon. There is a relatively significant difference between the two. If you played some bridges and you hear one, you hear the other, you know which one is which. So the regular bridge violins are pretty nice. These are even nicer. They also do custom colors. So if you've got a really specific thing that you want, you can do that. Okay. So to recap, the ZETA Strados Modern. This one with like the finger bridge thing. It's for all my ZETA people out there. Where y'all at? ZETA Strados Modern. We've got the Skull violins, the Stratton Skull violins. They're extremely awesome. The NS Design CR series. And to finish up, we got the Bridge Dragons. Okay. So those are sort of the violins in this price point. If you guys have questions, please hit me up in the comments section. And you can call us here at the shop. You can email us, info@electricviolinshop.com. So, yeah, that's it from Electric Violin Shop, and we'll see you next week.